Hello fellow vapors, this is Crash with CrashVapes.com. Today I decided that it's time for me to do a new coil on my iHybrid, so I figured I'd come in here and show you guys the coil and how I make it. As you can see, I have my iHybrid here, 350 mode currently. I've been using it in both 650 and 350 today, kind of been switching between the two. But I'm running the 32 gauge kanthal in a twisted pair, and it's starting to get a little hot spot near the top, and I was kind of messing with it, but I figured, good opportunity to do a new video and show you guys how I do the twisted wire. So what we'll do is take off the coil that's in here. And as you can see, I've been running it for a few days, got a little bit of buildup. It's not too bad, but like I said, it's getting a little hot spot near the top, which it's not showing. Oh yeah, there it goes. Drying out really fast, getting hot at the top. So what I'm going to do is pull the wick out in the coil, and just going to do a quick oxidization, kind of burn the coil out, or the wire mesh off, and then put a new coil in it. So to do that, I'm going to start by just undoing this top screw a little bit. Take our Allen, loosen that up. I didn't take them all the way out, as you can see, just loosen them up a little bit. And then I will go ahead and remove this wire with the wick. Oh, the top screw came off. No big deal if the screw comes out. I mean, it just screws right back in. So here you can see my 500 stainless steel mesh wick that I've been using for a few days. Actually, I've been using this one since I built it. It's not going to focus on it. Anyhow, been using this one since I built it. It's been working good. I've redone the coil on it, I think, once from just the straight 32 kanthal 3/4 wrap to the twisted setup. So I'm just going to pull this guy off of here, like so. Put that to the side. And then I usually like inspecting these to make sure there's no holes in them. With this finer mesh, I've noticed that you can get little char marks where it actually damages the mesh. Let me see if I can manually zoom this here. Yeah. So you can see there's little marks in that. Now I go through those, and I make sure that there's no holes or any fresh spots that have lifted up. And this one looks pretty good. I mean, it's got a little bit on there. But let's go ahead and burn it off a couple times and see what it does. So I've got this little torch here. Just light it up and let it burn its way out. Try not to get my fingers. You can see it's starting to glow. I'm still looking to just see if there's any holes in this mesh. I see a little mark near the bottom where the bottom coil was. So maybe I'll flip this this upside down and use the other side. See if I can do this without pinching it too tight. I usually try to use the meshes for I don't know, at least 4 or 5 coils. Sometimes you can get away with more. It all depends on how tightly you wrap your coil up there, I believe. If you wrap it a little too snugly, you can get those holes that I was talking about where it burns through the mesh. And I think that's more prevalent on the finer meshes like the 500 or even maybe the 400. And it's hot. Dropped it. Hang on. Heard it sizzle when I touch my fingers. Still a little warm. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to flip this guy upside down. I'm just going to get this top piece burned in kind of good and running out of gas here. Maybe not. And this little torch I'm using is it's a butane torch that I purchased from Matco Tools years ago. It's a power probe. You can buy them off of their website, I believe. If you go to powerprobe.com, they've got some options there for these. And oh, I know where it is. I'm looking for my little squirt juice, my little bottle. So I'm going to go ahead, since I'm starting on the other side, and I didn't really oxidize this a whole lot the first time I made this coil because I wasn't using that end. And the part that I have down in my tank, I usually don't oxidize all that great because it's not 100% necessary. So a little oxidizing, do a couple juice burns here. I'm just using my standard max blend from Freedom Smoke USA. And I know a lot of guys just use straight VG, which you can totally do. I just use whatever I have on hand. Okay, so I'm going to say that's good. I'll zoom in and just show you guys the one that I'm going to use. So there you can see it. I mean, I didn't go nuts on it. Just burned it off a couple times. There's the other side. And hopefully it all works. So far this device, this iHybrid, has been, for me, the easiest one to set up. I don't know why, maybe it's just because of the size. I was using the Orion before this one, and then with the Zen it has that insulator, so that's kind of, I don't know, almost cheating in a way. It works great, but there's less chance of getting that short. So I'm just going to slip this back in here. And as you can see, the mesh that I made has a pretty decent amount of play in there. Kind of hard to tell the gap, but there you go. You can kind of see the gap that I got. So that's sitting about on the bottom. And then normally when I start doing the wick, I lift it up a little bit. I'm gonna lock the switch so I don't accidentally fire it. I do have the battery in there. I know a lot of people say to take it out. And then here I've got my kanthal. This is a spool I bought off a vendor on eBay. I don't remember the eBay name or any of that. My buddy over at e-smokeytreats.com has some 32 kanthal in stock. It should be up on his site later today. So I'm going to take a length of this, about that much. I'm going to snip it off down there at the base. And then what I've found easiest is to take it before you heat treat it, and it's going to be very springy, almost like it won't want to stay. And I tried to do this without using vice grips to spin, and it didn't really work out that well. So what I've been doing is taking a pair of small vice grips like this, not super small, and you clip the two ends of the wire like so, and then you just take this guy, I hold it by the top, and I just spin them around until I get that mesh or the wire to about where I think it should be. I haven't watched any videos on this, so I don't know where people are liking it. Now you'll notice if you let go with it like this, it wants to unwind itself. So at this point, you take your torch again, and then just heat the wire. I'm kind of letting it rest on the table. You don't want too much weight on it because I think it might break. But as you can see now, it's totally vertical. Or, you know, it doesn't have any of that spring in it anymore. Let's do that a couple times. So there we have a 32 twisted kanthal wire. And let's see if I can get it to actually focus so you can see my twists on it. If I can hold it still. So there you go. That's about how tight I've been winding these. And it's been seeming to work pretty well with that amount of tightness on there. When I tried to do it by hand, I was holding it down at the bottom, and I had my finger through the loop, and I was just twisting it around in circles. And down at the very base, it got the twist really, really tight, and then all the way up, and they were getting looser and looser as you went up. So that's why I've been using the vice grips for that. So now I'm going to put our camera down a little bit, and we'll get into the actual coil building here. All right, so let me lock out the focusing here. Yep. Okay. So you take either end. I don't think it matters which one. I'm just going to take the one that I was holding the vice grips with. You wrap that around your bottom negative post, and then I hold it right up against the wick at that base. And then you grab your Allen wrench or whatever tool you need for your device. Snug that down. Check it. It looks good in there. And as you can see, it's pretty much right there, almost touching. Then you take that other end, do the little twist job. With the double wire, it's a little harder to do, I've noticed, but it comes right off. So then I'm going to take my top screw and just thread this back in so I can wrap around it and tighten it fairly easily, like so. Now you get your screwdriver handy, and then just take it, rotate your device, go in between. And I'm going to do a 4-3 wrap on this, which is what I had on my other one. One more. And there it is. So now you just hold everything kind of there. I always inspect and see if my coils are roughly where they should be. And those look pretty darn good, so I'm going to snug the top down a little bit. I'm not going to take off this other end yet. Just kind of snug it down. As you can see, it tightened up that top coil when I snugged it. So I want to make sure that you get a little bit of a gap there. This is where you get the most hot spots, I've noticed, is on that top coil. When you tighten up that bolt or that screw, it really tightens up the wick or the coil. So I always have to come in here and adjust a little bit. That looks a little better. Now I've got a gap, it's still on there snugly, and that way I can push in and make sure that it's got a little bit of space. So now we're going to give it a couple little test fires here, see if it's doing what it should be doing. See a lot of vapor. This wick, there's still juice in this tank, so it probably just sucked it up really fast. You can see a hot spot there. Bump it. Push in. What I'm doing there is I'm pushing in on the wire, and then I'm going to push the wick back the other direction. So it kind of gets a little kink in it at the top, which is very hard to see on here. Let's see if we can zoom this a little better. So you can see I kind of have a little kink right there. That's a little better. It's looking a little bit more even. That top coil is still getting really hot, so we'll bump it around a little more. Just kind of mess with all of them. That looks pretty even. I mean, the top's getting hotter first, which I've pretty much always seen to be the case. But that's pretty darn good. And this coil will break in over time. It'll start getting better and better. Do a little dry burn with some juice, or a juice burn. And as you can see, once that thing gets going, it's kind of a champ. So we've got that all set up. Now on this top wire, I'm just going to snip it off with these little snips I have here. And let's see where we are on ohms. Maybe we'll camera back down for this. Yeah, I'm not really going to be able to get it in there. But to check the ohm on these, what you do, you lock your switch, because you're going to have to push down a little bit. I'll just read what this says to you guys. And you take your leads, you put one right here on the negative screw, one on the positive screw, and this will give you your ohm. And I'm at 1.7 ohm with this coil, 1.6, and it seemed to have stabled out there at 1.6 ohms. So 1.6 ohms for well, now it's hitting 1.5. 1.5, 1.6, it'll be somewhere in that ballpark. 3.2 kanthal twisted, 4.3 wrap. We'll get you right about there. So let's go ahead and put a cap back on this guy, and we will give it a little vape and see how she does. So you grab your cap. I'm going to leave my sleeve off for now. Make sure we've got enough juice in this tank. Might need to add a little bit. That's looking great. Take your top cap. If you're new to the Genesis style, you always want it as near the wick as possible. If you twist it away from the wick, you'll get much harsher or much more throat hit. Put my drip tip back in here. There we go. Try it out. That's working perfectly. Flavor's good. I don't have any burning going on. There's no drying out. As you can see with this twisted wire, the vapor production is just insane. I'll slide my sleeve on here. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the battery that I'm running is those the 18350 generic IMR, nothing special, 800 milliamp hour, 3.7. It's a flat top battery. I've had it in here for about an hour today so far, maybe a little bit more. But with this coil setup, man, I'm telling you, it's awesome. So there you have it. 32 gauge kanthal twisted, 4.3 wrap. iHybrid version 2.1. Awesome. That's it. Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon, day, whatever it is for you. And feel free to put some comments down there or questions, or go over to my blog at crashvapes.com and check it all out. Thanks. Bye.